Hello and welcome to Our Voices. I'm Amina Aliyu, joined by my colleagues Simne Shekoye and Orian Itangishaka. Hello ladies, big welcome back to the studio for another exciting week of...
A very exciting one, you know, wedding.
I have a question.
Favorite day.
Before we get into that, I want to know, what was your wedding like, Orian?
I loved my wedding. I love my wedding, and the best part about it is that it happened in Burundi, in my father's house. You know, a girl's always hoping to be taken from her father to her husband, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, my husband came and picked me up from my father's house, and it was just really special because I've been in the U.S. for so long, and to me, that was very symbolic and significant, and I will always be grateful for that.
And you, Lily?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I can't say that my wedding was my dream wedding like Orion, because I always assumed that I would be married in Ethiopia with all my families and, you know, friends with the traditional and the modern, the white dress wedding. I remember my aunt had like over 1,000 guests, and I thought mine would be also something like that.
Wow. I don't ever want to hear you judge Nigerians.
You know, but God had a different and more meaningful wedding for me. I got married in the US to this most amazing man, and our wedding, you know, we had 120 people invited, which is even a lot for the US. And it was very special, and even given a chance, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Wow. It's about meaning of the wedding, not the number or
not the fanciness, not the all this childhood dream, but how it feels at the moment is most
like
important.
90% of the people in that, you don't even know who they are. Like in my country, you can have a big wedding, but I guarantee you, 60 to 70% of the people are the friends of the friends of the friends.
Exactly. My aunts, everybody will invite their close friends.
I have a friend. I have a friend. Every time it's wedding season, she'd be like, "Do you have a wedding to go to? Are any of your cousins getting married?"
So, what's your dream wedding?
My dream wedding. See, I was hoping to listen to both of yours and then mix and match and see how it'll combine, and then get my combine that with social media and Bella Niger and all
Generation of social media.
But you are Nigerian. I can't even imagine how fancy it would be. You know,
I want to come
my
down.
favorite moment back home when I'm tired and I go home, I open YouTube and I search for expensive Nigerian weddings. That's how I entertain myself.
It's a full production.
Yes, it is.
The money that they spend. This is what that's the question I have.
You don't know the
You go by
spray.
the making it rain type.
Yes, everybody, it's that time of year again, ladies, where you're fighting with your mothers, fighting with your sisters, having tailors disappoint you, scouring to find available and affordable makeup artists, borrowing shoes and jewelry left and right, and all of that. So getting into competition mode. Yes, it's wedding season in so many parts of the world, even more so on the continent, except for, of course, South Africa, because we all know it's freezing down there. With more than 5 million weddings that take place in Africa every year, large cities are always spruced up with pomp and color, especially on weekends, as numerous weddings take place across the continent. On this week's edition of Our Voices, we'll be taking a peek into this multi-million-dollar industry in which so many women have found empowerment, ranging from dressmaking, event planning, catering, among other things. We'll examine the opulence associated with African weddings, social media influence, and the general cost of marriage in our different cultures. Welcome to Our Voices.
Well, as we already mentioned, many Nigerian weddings are glamorous affairs which have been evolving over the years. The multi-million-dollar wedding industry is considered to be one of the fastest growing industries in Africa, and it creates thousands of jobs. But amid economic challenges facing Africa's largest population, what really is the cost of typical Nigerian wedding? In this report, Timothy Obizu speaks to event planners and couples from Abuja.
Cynthia Anthony launched her event management company in Abuja in 2014 with only one staff. Over the years, she says her business has been expanding, but with Nigeria's wedding industry trends consistently evolving, it's been expensive to level up.
You're trying to upgrade, you're trying to get new styles, what's trending, you get. So it's capital intensive and very broad, very lucrative.
Market research group TNS Global says Nigeria's wedding industry is worth millions of dollars and creates thousands of informal jobs and therefore contributing to the economy. Many Nigerian weddings cost between $10,000 to $200,000 depending on the tribe and family. In 2018, Richard Ahuronye spent more than $20,000 to host nearly 1,000 guests at his wedding. He says he had some financial aid from his friends and family.
There are some couples that, after wedding, they can't feed. Some people take loan. I had some savings I started with. What that savings did for me, helped me book, some vendors down ahead of the date. I think 6 to 7 months ahead of the date.
The wedding featured in popular online wedding magazines such as Bella Niger, but Ahuronye says some spending for the wedding was unnecessary.
With the experience I had then and now, I think I wouldn't have done so many things. There were some things I feel were highly relevant. So if I'm to do a wedding now, I don't think I would have spent as much as I spent.
If you want to do a wedding, if you can afford it, go the extra mile. Because it's something you look back to. It's one day. It's something like today when I sit and I think back to my wedding, the only thing I regret is not doing more.
Wealth distribution among Nigeria's population is uneven and the economy is struggling. National Statistics Bureau says 40% of the total population live below the country's poverty line. Event planners like Anthony are aware of the economic realities.
We have different kinds of packages. Like when I meet my clients, I will show you my packages. I have the gold, I have the silver, I have the bronze. So you know the category you fall in.
For now, Nigeria's wedding industry is projected to only boom, with many more people planning expensive weddings. Timothy Obiezu for Philly News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Joining us via Skype from Lagos, Nigeria to give us behind-the-scenes information about her upcoming nuptials is the Kitchen Nigeria 2021 finalist, Chef V. Chef V is a personal chef, lifestyle enthusiast, and Lagos socialite. She delivers rich culinary and lifestyle experiences. Born in the United States and raised between Lagos and London, Chef V's formative years saw her develop an inclination for food, travel, and lifestyle. Now she's getting married and her fans expect it to be one for the ages. Chef V, welcome to Our Voices.
Hi, good afternoon.
We're so excited to have you here with us, and I'm sure your fans are super excited as well. And I know their first question would be, are you going to cater the wedding? Because then everyone would want an invitation.
Everyone has asked, how can I cater? I need to enjoy.
So my question for you is, because you're a lifestyle enthusiast, I'm curious to know how much influence does your celebrity status have on the decisions you're making about your wedding and the social media impact?
So I would say I've been a lifestyle enthusiast before I even became a public profile. So my interests, my goals for my events and my future wedding have always been inspired by what I like. Of course, social media does have an essence to inspire. I mean, you've seen what happens from Nigerian weddings, from the pre-wedding shoots, the videography, the photographers, the hair, makeup. Those have all been those have helped me along the way with my wedding planning. But I would say that the majority of my decisions have been based on me as a creative.
Chef V, congratulations once again. And sometimes there is a saying, weddings are for families, not just the bride and the groom. So how much is your mother or your mother-in-law involved in the planning, especially as a public person?
Oh gosh, I mean, everyone would know Nigerian mothers just take over. But I've been very blessed with my mom. She has always asked me what I want, but still, regardless, her decisions have always come first. So especially with the traditional wedding, we've made a deal. I will have the white wedding, which is a destination wedding later in the year, and she takes the traditional wedding, her and my dad. One thing when it comes to Nigerian families is parents do tend to take a lot of the planning, a lot of the expenses. So you do want to give them the opportunity to show off to their friends, to be able to invite who they would like, to be able to, really have that final send off for me as their daughter. So the traditional wedding is pretty much theirs. I don't know 3/4 of people attending. I think my guest list is about 50 to 100 out of 1,000 guests. Literally, it is that little. And my husband as well has about 100 guests. So we have maybe 200 people that out of 2,000 guests at our traditional wedding, and it's going to be like that. I say to my mom and the guest, just let me know where to be, what time, what I'm wearing, and I'll show up with a smile on my face.
Yeah. That's very fair of you.
Yeah, that's very good, and I'm glad you're going to have your input into this wedding because this is your wedding, okay? Now, can you walk us through, what the different stages of your wedding, give us, some inside information that other people don't have, and also the culture and the tradition that you're going to be incorporating into your wedding?
Of course. So I think I've taken a more modern approach with my wedding plans. So I'm doing a very long wedding period, I would say. So I got engaged August last year, and I did my court wedding in December, which many people don't know. So this is the first time I'm publicly saying that. So me and my husband, we are actually married in December, and our traditional wedding is technically 6 months after our court wedding. And then white wedding is 10 months after our court wedding. And I did it that way because a lot of the time the wedding planning can really take over actual significance of getting married. And I wanted to be able to control my experience of getting married to my husband and having that moment for ourselves. And now it's just like, okay, we have the event to enjoy with our guests without having that pressure of also getting married on top. In terms of the cultural aspects of a Nigerian wedding, I'm very excited to experience my culture. So I think a lot of people internationally are very aware of Yoruba weddings and maybe Igbo weddings, but I'm from Rivers State, which is a southern state in Nigeria. And our culture isn't that well known compared to other states in Nigeria. But our culture is so colorful, it is so big, so proud. And it is amazing that we're going to be inviting 2,000 people to come and witness that in our small town called Abonima. And we're doing the most grandest traditional wedding celebration with 4 cultural dancers. The chiefs are coming. It's a full-on regalia affair, I would say. And for me, it's just so important to experience that culture because in this new day and age, we get very much pressure to just have this party. I would say a lot of Lagos weddings are pretty much about the party or, having the best performers or, inviting the most people to come and have a good time at your wedding. But to me and my husband, we decided that we want this to be celebrating where we're from and showing the beauty of Nigerian culture itself and what our ancestors used to do as well, and making it a bit more modern at the same time.
Wow. We wish you to have a very colorful wedding, and thank you so much again for joining us. We'll probably look at your wedding on social media, so we'll look out for it. Thank you so much for joining us, and now it's time for a break. We want to ask our audience to share with us traditional wedding rites in your culture that other people should be shocked to find out. We are on Facebook at VOA Africa, on Instagram and Twitter. We are on VOA Our Voices. We are also on WhatsApp, and our number is US code +1 202 503 9025. When we return, we'll be joined by a wedding planner who builds a sustainable business in the wedding industry and found her niche in multicultural wedding planning. Stay with us and we'll be right back.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depend on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
You're watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us each week right here on Red Carpet. We bring you the latest in
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Our Voices. Joining us via Skype now is Feishola Ogufemi. She is a Nigerian wedding planner with 10 years of experience with the owner of Statuesque event, which is based in the DC metro area and specializes in multicultural cultural wedding on the East Coast and abroad. Thank you so much for being with us, Ogufemi.
Thanks so much for having me.
Ariane, I'm going to steal this one from you.
Okay, go ahead.
Faishala, I want to ask you the first question. Can you describe the biggest wedding that you have planned? That is what I'm eager to hear.
So, because you want to have
The
that
most
kind of wedding.
expensive.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay. The most expensive, or probably the biggest combined, was a 500-person wedding, 2-day wedding. So it took place on the client's estate. So the client's parents owned a huge estate, and we built a custom tent on their property. Cocktail hour was by their pool, and it was a 2-day event. And it was also a lot of work. Both events took place in the same tent, but everything looked completely different between the 2 days. So after the event ended on Friday, everything came out, all the furniture came out, the floor came out, and was replaced by totally different looking flooring, decor, and everything between the 2 days. So it was definitely like a nonstop 48 hours of production. The tent took almost a week to set up. It was an amazing event. But I also have to say this couple was also one of the nicest couples. Their families were really nice. It was just a really fun experience. A lot of work, but also a really, really fun experience. So that would probably be the biggest, both because of the size, a 2-day 500-person wedding. We planned it in about 3 months, start to finish. And then also just because of the overall style of the event. So that would probably be the biggest event that I would say we've done. We have done a 700-person wedding as well, which would be a close second to that, a 2-day 700-person wedding.
Okay, Faishola, so you specialize in multicultural and cross-cultural weddings. So how difficult and how easy is it to plan those kinds of weddings? Because I believe all cultures want to be represented. So how is that?
Yeah, it is actually a good time. The truth is we do it because the world is getting smaller. And so for those of us in the US, or really even in Nigeria, everywhere, the world is getting smaller. People live in different countries and they fall in love. And it's really nice to celebrate, that blending of culture, people falling in love. And also, like you said, everyone does want to celebrate their culture. I always say weddings are the biggest personal event that anyone throws where they get to celebrate their culture, right? Bigger usually than baby showers or birthday parties or even funerals. Those usually tend to be the events that bring out the biggest guest count. And of course, it's a joyous occasion. So everyone wants to celebrate their culture. It's funny that we're doing this interview today because we actually have an event today in New Jersey. It is a Nigerian and Indian wedding. So we are 100% blending cultures, and it's going to be amazing.
Two big cultures.
Right.
Two huge cultures.
Shola,
very colorful
right.
and bold cultures are going to be coming together today. We're really excited about that. But it's been a journey. You know, I would say that generally speaking, families are involved. The very first meeting that I had with this couple before we booked, actually both of their moms joined. And so I spoke to the bride, the groom, and both moms.
Right.
And
but Faishala, you know, just real quick, I know we've watched a story earlier where a husband and a wife had totally different ideas after the wedding. The husband said it was some of the things that they did was highly irrelevant, while the wife said she actually just wishes she didn't do more. Now, can you take us through briefly the process of working with a couple from pre-wedding to post-wedding, the things that you work with them to try to get their day to be a special day, because they, you know, sometimes they have totally different views on what to do?
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. I think a wedding is a project, so project management is important. And so first you have to understand who the stakeholders are, right? So who is paying for the wedding, like the couple said, and a few of you have also said who's paying for the wedding, because that's important. You don't want to completely disregard the feelings of those who are contributing towards the wedding. Also, what are each person's priorities? Because a lot of times between the bride and the groom, they have different priorities. For instance, a lot of our grooms care about music and the DJ, and they care about the bar. And sometimes they care about the food, where the bride cares about the decor. She cares about, you know, makeup, of course. And so in those cases, it gives each person their area, maybe to
be comfortable in and to take control of. Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us, Faishala Ogunfemi, the owner of Statuesque Events from New Jersey, where you're actually... you're in Maryland.
We're based in Maryland. We're based in the DC metro area, but our event today is in New Jersey.
Your event today is in New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so ladies, we've heard from a bride, we've heard from the event planner. My complaint, as someone who has not had a wedding, is the cost of us attendees.
I agree.
Why aren't we discussing this?
Those who attended and those who are part of the wedding. And I will say, as somebody who has been a bridesmaid so many times, I think just brides need to just cut it down for them, because it's a lot of money. The hair, the makeup, the everything, the shoes. I decided on my wedding, I'm paying for them, for everything, because it's not fair to make me spend $5,000 for your wedding.
Do you know how many bridesmaids we have in our wedding? It's like all the cousins that are around the same age, right? So I pulled up these images from my friend's wedding, and because I'm shading her because she had such a big wedding.
I think you know, a bride and groom should be responsible for the kind of, you know, wedding they want to have, and also the kind of people they are involving, especially in the party.
I think it depends on the culture, because for example, when you're having a white wedding, you have a select number of bridesmaids, right?
Sometimes I think social medias are influencing the culture, because 20 bridesmaids is not really the culture.
No, but for us, that's just how it is. You have the cousins that are about the same age, regardless if you speak to them, you don't speak to them, you like them, you don't, as long as you're about the same age, they're bridesmaids in your weddings. And then you have friends and you have family friends, and like anyone that's around the same age attends the wedding. So this is why you see a large spectrum of, like, you see the Nigerian weddings with...
But I agree with you. I mean, the cost of attending is usually overlooked, and that's something that should be considered in this conversation.
That's true. The finances definitely is a problem sometimes. Well, it's time for our Women to Watch segment. Now let's meet the 21-year-old who has been making noise in the fashion industry lately, sparkling a lot of chattering among potential brides wanting to make a statement on their wedding day as they come down the aisle. That's right, British Nigerian designer Olugbemisola Okunola of the bridal luxury bespoke brand Alunako, which is based in London and has a lot of eyes on her and bridal gowns. After teaching herself to sew, according to an online platform, Hello Beautiful, Oluwagbemisola says she started her fashion house to realize her love for creating beauty with her hands. Most of the talk about Alunoku was sparked by their illusion wedding gown, which featured sheer fabric that is inclusive of many skin tones. The designer opted to name the brand after her last name because it is something that will forever be her identity no matter what.
Well, yeah, that is a very, you know, this wedding industry is so big.
It's so big.
Yeah.
And what I love the most, this is one industry that women dominate.
Have a lot of say on, right?
Well, not in Nigeria because the moms apparently take control.
I'm saying women dominate the industry. We're like men journalism, this men's space here, men's space there. Yeah. Finally, they have to squeeze and find their own place in the wedding industry.
Yeah, but I want us to take back to our conversation earlier about the cost of attending a wedding. Not even being a bridal party. As a person invited, going to a wedding is expensive. I was reading a research that on average it could cost up to $600. But I believe that we as individuals should be responsible to how much our financial capacities and our stress level, and decide on what we can afford, and plan ahead if possible. If not, even cancel, decline gracefully.
I'm taking off my guest list for my own wedding.
Well, that's because I know. If you're trying to go to the Caribbean and take us to some country that's expensive to go to.
It's a destination wedding, and travel, accommodation,
that's
gifts.
why my presence is the gift to that. I don't give brides gifts. My attending, because I have to pay for a makeup artist, I have to pay for my gilly, I have to pay for the fabric, pay for the tailor. Mostly steal my sister's shoes.
It's your personal decision not to give a gift. So these are the kind of personal decisions we have to make, considering our financial status and our stress level, and by planning ahead and making sure that we do what we can afford. It is so
expensive for definitely the attendees, and then that's one thing I think that the people in the wedding don't consider.
And that's our show for this week. A very special thank you to both of our guests, Chef V, the bride, and Feishala from Statuesque Events, who joined us today. It was a pleasure. Now, on behalf of my co-hosts, editors, production team, and everyone here at The Voice of America, I'm Amina Aliyu. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.